Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner. Jon Rothstein here on Inside College Basketball Now. Welcome to our ACC offseason breakdown for 2025. I want to remind you to subscribe to Inside College Basketball Now on Apple Podcasts. We want to be your Bible for the college basketball season and beyond. We are the only college basketball podcast coming to you 52 weeks out of the calendar year. Also, I want to remind you to follow Apple and follow Spotify. Follow us on both those places. Leave us a review, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think the product we're bringing to you 52 weeks out of the calendar year. As we've been doing the last couple of weeks, we're going to break down one power conference from soup to nuts. Today's focus is on the ACC. And anytime you want to get into the nuts and bolts of a conference in the offseason, you want to get into, obviously, early season awards, early season power rankings. But first, we always get in to three big things. And the first big thing on my mind as it comes to the ACC is simple. The ACC needs to get 1/3 of its teams at minimum into the 2026 NCAA tournament. There's 18 teams in this league right now. The conference has made notable and tangible changes to try and give their programs more flexibility to get to the NCAA tournament. The ACC downshifted from 20 league games to 18 league games, but it's time now for the ACC to become at least a 6-bid league in 2026. Because if you split the atom and you look at things really from 30,000 feet out. Last year, the ACC had 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. Duke, Louisville, Clemson, and also North Carolina. North Carolina, much like Virginia the year before, was a very, very controversial inclusion. And of those 4 teams, only one team, Duke, made it out of the round of 64. Let's go back 2 years ago. You had 5 teams from the ACC make the NCAA tournament. Duke, Clemson, North Carolina, NC State, and Virginia. Virginia, much like North Carolina this past season, did not seem like it was worthy of earning a berth to the NCAA tournament. And NC State, the 5th team in 2024 that earned a bid to the NCAA tournament, did so by winning 5 games in 5 days at the ACC tournament. So if you look right now at the ACC the last 2 years, only 9 teams played in the NCAA tournament, and you could make a real case that 3 of them could have easily not made it. NC State and Virginia in 2024 and North Carolina in 2025. But now that the ACC is an 18-team league, you have to look at 6 bids as being the goal so that the ACC can gradually get back to being viewed as respectable when it comes to the power conference landscape. Because here's what I'll tell you. In order for any league to be viewed as a league that is being prosperous and fruitful, you have to get mileage out of your big brands. Look at the big brands right now, or at least some of the brands that not too long ago were synonymous with basketball in the ACC. Syracuse has not been to the NCAA tournament since 2021 when it went to the Sweet 16 in the bubble under Jim Boeheim. Florida State, a program that under Leonard Hamilton had challenged time and time again for the top of the league in the ACC, has also not been to the NCAA tournament since 2021. Louisville, a program that was turned around last year by Pat Kelsey, has not won an NCAA tournament game since 2017. I think there's a good chance that's going to change, though. And Notre Dame, a program that was regularly at the top of the ACC, winning enough to go to back-to-back Elite Eights in 2015 and 2016 under Mike Bray, has been to the NCAA tournament just once since 2017. Those are big brands of the ACC. And for the ACC to be a league that's going to be a real factor nationally, it needs those 4 schools, Notre Dame, Florida State, Syracuse, Louisville to start giving a little bit more mileage. Another brand that's going to be under new stewardship this year with Ryan Odom is Virginia. Virginia has not won an NCAA tournament game since it won the national title in 2019 over Texas Tech. These are just facts of life when it comes to the ACC. But I'm setting the bar right now. A good season for the ACC is if the league puts 6 teams in the NCAA tournament on Selection Sunday. A great season will be more than 6 teams from the ACC in the 2026 NCAA tournament, and a disappointing season will be fewer than 6. But you know as well as I do, this is only August. Now, the second big thing I'm going to point out for the ACC is Duke is Duke. Now, my good friend, our colleague here at CBS Sports, Pete Gillen, said when Providence beat Duke in the 1997 NCAA tournament, that Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns. I think what I'm saying is Duke is obviously going to be the class of the league until Duke is not the class of the league. Now, did Duke have major losses from last year's team? Absolutely. Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, Common Malawach, all big-time losses. Sion James and Tyrese Proctor as well. But Duke, under Jon Scheyer, who has been an incredible steward of the Blue Devils program since Mike Krzyzewski retired, has reloaded, but it also has gotten guys back. And I want to start with the guys back. Keeping, obviously, Caleb Foster gives you a capable guard with experience. And I think if you're looking for a name for returning players that's going to make a jump this year in the ACC, the name to watch for Duke is Isaiah Evans. He put up big numbers during a stretch late in the season where there was obviously some injury issues and some health issues with Duke's lineup. Isaiah Evans, to me, is a guy that should be on every breakout list nationally. Now, when you're Duke and when you're a flagship program in the sport, you're also going to get some of the best freshmen in the country. Cam Boozer, whose brother Caden Boozer is also going to be a part of Duke, is going to play a major role. And Cam Boozer, to me, who I love as a face-up big man, is going to be in the mold of some of the other great Duke freshmen that we have seen for years in this program, like a Paolo Banchero. Players of that ilk. So until we see something different, Duke, who's going to play a very aggressive, schedule under Jon Scheyer, is to me still going to be the flagship program in this conference. Also think getting Malik Brown back as a key defender role player will be big for Duke. But the ACC still goes through Cameron Indoor Stadium. The third big thing, Louisville's revival continues under Pat Kelsey. Now, Louisville last year was one of the most improved teams in college basketball. Louisville went from a team that, again, we have to remember was reeling in 2 years under Kenny Payne to a team that went to the NCAA tournament and was a top-tier team in the ACC. Now, this was not a vintage ACC, but I do want to point out that Louisville was a team that got its respectability back. Louisville was a team that showed that it could be competitive. Louisville was a team that was in a situation where it went to the NCAA tournament, lost to a good Creighton team, but got back on the college basketball map. That will only be amplified this season. Why do I say that? Louisville and Pat Kelsey have stocked things at a major level. There's 3 perimeter transfers of major cachet. Ryan Conwell from Xavier, Isaac McNeely from Virginia, Adrian Woolley from Kennesaw State, and there was also Kobe Rogers, who sat out last year. There was a little bit of a taste of respectability last season when Louisville got back to the level it did. Now, if you're a Louisville fan and you're looking at the personnel and you have a 5-star freshman like Michael Brown alongside these veteran perimeter players, and you've got a non-conference schedule that is second to none in college basketball, with games at Arkansas, against Indiana, Kentucky, Cincinnati in downtown Cincinnati, Memphis at Tennessee, brands on top of brands. If you're a Louisville fan right now, there should be only one goal, and that's to win an ACC regular season title and be in a situation where you're in play to be a high seed in the 2026 NCAA tournament. That's the goal. This is the most anticipated season that Louisville has had since the 1920 season when Chris Mack was the coach, and a lot of people believed that the Cards were entering the season as the number one team in college basketball. To me, they're the clear challenger to Duke in the ACC, and I don't even think it's close. How should the ACC stack up? We're going to take a look at the ACC early season power rankings when we return. Jon Rothstein here on an ACC offseason breakdown on Inside College Basketball Now, only on the CBS Sports Podcast Network.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, welcome back to Inside College Basketball Now. I'm Jon Rothstein. This is our ACC offseason breakdown. I want to remind you to subscribe to Inside College Basketball Now on Apple Podcasts. We want to be your Bible for the college basketball season and beyond. We're the only college basketball podcast coming to you 52 weeks out of the calendar year. Also want you to follow us on Apple and Spotify. Give us a comment, give us a review. Let us know what you think of the product we're bringing to you 52 weeks out of the calendar year. But time now for our ACC preseason power rankings. I've got Duke in the one hole. I've talked about Foster, Evans, Cam Boozer, also Malik Brown. Patrick Gongba could also have a breakout season in the pivot. He's a former top 30 player who battled injuries at the start of last year. He's somebody who was never healthy. Obviously, Dame Sarr is a player that's going to come in with big-time options. I think Duke is still in the one hole. Louisville's at 2. I just went through what the Cards have on the perimeter in the first segment. Michael Brown, obviously alongside Adrian Woolley from Kennesaw State, Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, Kobe Rogers. There's spacing for days when you look at the Cards and their ability to put shooters around Michael Brown. Also think Louisville has an underrated front court when you look at the bodies that have been added. Ali Khalifa from BYU, a point center of sorts, who was obviously given the opportunity to receive a waiver and play this year. Kaysen Pryor is healthy. Love Javon Hadley as a big guard, small ball 4. Louisville's a much better team than it was a year ago when it was an 8-9 game to start the NCAA tournament. I think if you're Louisville, you're in position to be the highest seed you've been since Rick Pitino's last year when Louisville was a 2 seed in the 2017 NCAA tournament and lost to Michigan and John Beilein in that round of 32. In the 3 spot, it's North Carolina. North Carolina, and I said this on a recent show, is the polar opposite of what it was last year. Last year, North Carolina was a guard-heavy team. Cadeau, R.J. Davis, Seth Trimble, Ian Jackson. Now, it's all about the front court. Jaron Stevenson, 5-star freshman, Caleb Wilson, Henry Visar. There's obviously high hopes for Luka Bogovac, the foreign import, but that's the core of what you're going to see, in my opinion, for North Carolina. Seth Trimble, I expect to be an All-ACC First Team caliber player. And Kyan Evans from Colorado State is the anticipated starter at point guard. A player, even though he's a transfer from Colorado State, a Mountain West school, was very, very good for the Rams last year when the Rams went on a tear under Nico Medved and nearly went to the Sweet 16. Lost at the buzzer to Maryland. In the 4 spot, I'm going with Will Wade and NC State. Now, Will Wade, everybody knows, Chattanooga won. VCU won. He's the only coach at VCU since Shaka Smart to win an NCAA tournament game. LSU won an SEC regular season title, got into some trouble there, lost his job, came back to McNeese and led McNeese to an NCAA tournament win for the first time in program history. He has assembled a nice team at NC State. Trey Holloman from Michigan State, seasoned veteran at point guard. Terrence Arsenault, former top 30-ish recruit from Houston, hasn't really proven it production-wise at the college level, but was initially thought of as a guy who would be an all-conference caliber player. Then Allen Lubin from North Carolina, undersized guy up front. And Darian Williams, obviously an all-conference player and a potential preseason All-American. I think NC State now has a roster that will be good. I don't know yet if the Wolfpack can be great. Matthew Abel, a talented freshman, is another player that I'm hearing good things about out of Raleigh. But it's still very early. Miami, I have in the 5 spot. Year 1 under Jay Lucas. Hasn't coached a game yet. But I'm firmly impressed with how Lucas has put together a roster at the college level. And I'm looking at Miami's team, and I am seeing proven, established college producers brought in. Ernest Uday from TCU, Malik Renew from Indiana, Trey Donaldson, who was a part of NCAA tournament teams at both Auburn and Michigan, True Washington, who had a big role for New Mexico. I like Miami's pieces. I think Miami is a team that you would say, based on personnel, looks like a top 30 to 35 team nationally entering its first season under Jay Lucas. In the 6th spot, Virginia, year 1 under Ryan Odom. Now, Virginia, and I'm going to get to this later in the show, seems to be the team that whenever you talk to ACC coaches, they're pointing the arrow at. They're saying that's a team that's going to be vastly improved. They're saying that's a team to keep an eye on. I don't disagree, but this is a brand new team under Ryan Odom and a brand new coach. And it's going to be an adjustment for a lot of people because for so long, when people have viewed Virginia basketball, they have viewed the slow prodding style that Tony Bennett used to win all those games and win the national championship in 2019. Ryan Odom wants to play fast. Ryan Odom wants to play a frenetic pace, but there's pieces to like. Love Dallin Hall from BYU. Malik Thomas is a proven player from San Francisco. Testa Ritter, a high-level player from Europe, is expected to play a major role. And Johan Grunlow is another player from foreign leagues that people expect to play a role. Virginia, to me, right now, I'd say looks like a bubble team. Maybe a little bit better. But here's something interesting. Ryan Odom is now in play. He's just about 50 years old to take his 4th school to the NCAA tournament. Did it at UMBC, did it at Utah State, did it at VCU. In the 7th spot, I'm taking Notre Dame. Now, this is a big year for Micah Shrewsbury. Felt like last season was a little bit of a step back. Now, they had some injuries early, so we got to give him the benefit of the doubt, losing Marcus Burton. But Burton, Shrewsbury, Jalen Harrelson gives Notre Dame a very capable perimeter. Jalen Harrelson's a top 20 freshman. Keba Jai has been through wars of college basketball as a seasoned player. I think there's enough, as long as Notre Dame stays healthy, for Notre Dame to finish in the top half of the ACC. Burton and Shrewsbury, obviously, production-wise, the best returning backcourt in the ACC. Now, SMU is in the 8-hole. Andy Enfield did a really nice job last year in his first year in the ACC, in his first year with SMU. SMU felt like the ultimate chalk team to me because they won the games they were supposed to win, but they can never win a game that would truly move the needle and never felt like they were really on the bubble. Boopy Miller is back. Also, SMU picked up an under-the-radar transfer in Jacksonville State transfer, Jerron Pierre. He's kind of an under-the-radar guy in the league. Corey Washington was added from Wichita State. Samet Yigitoglu, pronunciations are always hard, is back up front with, proven experience. I think the Boopy Miller, Jerron Pierre combination should give SMU more pop in the backcourt. This is a team, SMU, that I'm forecasting to be number 8 right now, but could easily be projected, in my opinion, to finish in the 6, 7, 5 range. Syracuse is number 9. I talked about the importance for the ACC for Syracuse to be nationally relevant. No NCAA tournament since 2021. Not a lot of returning personnel for Syracuse, But the two guys that did return, Donnie Freeman and also J.J. Starling, have all ACC caliber potential. And there's also all ACC caliber potential in who Red Autry brought in to play alongside J.J. Starling, and that's Nathan George from Georgia Tech. That triumvirate, Nathan George, J.J. Starling, and Donnie Freeman, all possess all ACC caliber potential. Nate King's a transfer shooter from Oregon State, should also be expected to play a role. William Kyle from UCLA, rim runner finisher, more of a role player, but Syracuse should be, in my opinion, improved from last year's team that was under 500. It's a big year for Syracuse, a big year for Red Autry. They're, though, going to be in the 9 spot. Clemson, to me, is going to be at 10. It's a little weird to put a Brad Brownell coach team in the 10 spot, but there's so many defections, especially in the backcourt. Chase Hunter, Jaden Zachary, gone. 2 big losses, huge losses. Ian Shefflin, multi-year starter on teams that went to the NCAA tournament, he's gone. And Victor Locken is gone. There's a lot of unproven commodities for Clemson. I like, though, the combination up front of R.J. Godfrey, who was on the team 2 years ago when Clemson went to the Elite Eight and lost to Alabama, and Nick Davidson from Nevada. But I just think there's too many question marks on the perimeter. Dylan Hunter will obviously be expected to play a big role, but there's just too many question marks for Clemson to have them much higher than this. Pitt is 11. Couple of returning pieces of note. Cam Corrin up front. Brandon Cummings, a player that I think will have a breakout year in 25-26 for Pitt. And then a couple of transfers on the perimeter come in as projected starters. Barry Dunning from South Alabama. DeMarco Minor from Oregon State. Deshaun Jackson also up front should be a starter next to Cam Corrin. Pitt, has been really competitive under Jeff Capel. Couldn't get over the hump the last couple of years and get to the NCAA tournament. But it feels like Pitt is always, too, a place that is going to lose good players earlier than expected. Jeff Capel's done a really, really good job here recruiting. Okay? Bub Carrington goes to Pitt, winds up going early to the NBA. Jalen Lowe, all-ACC caliber player, winds up going to Kentucky. This is part of the other side here in this day and age in college basketball. I got Georgia Tech in the 12 spot. Bayandongo, Mohamed Silla up front. Bayandongo, an all-ACC caliber player. On the perimeter, you're going to see, I think, Kawasi Reeves play a big role as a veteran. And then, Damon Stoudemire added a number of veteran transfers. Cam Kraft from Miami, Ohio. Lamar Washington by way of Pacific. Wake Forest, I have in the 13 spot. This is a byproduct of never going over the hump and making the NCAA tournament and losing really, really good players. Hunter Salas, Cam Hildreth, all gone off a team that didn't play in the NCAA tournament. It's a rebuild for Steve Forbes, who, again, has proven his ability at multiple places that he can coach. But until we see this as an NCAA tournament team, you're going to have to take everything and you're going to have to proceed with a little bit of caution. Nate Kalmies and Makai Mason, a pair of transfers from the Great Northwest, Washington State and Washington, respectively, should play a major role, as should Trayvon Spillers. Virginia Tech, sneaky good at number 14. Now, speaking of taking things with a grain of salt, I always do it when it comes to foreign imports. You talk to the Virginia Tech staff, you know that Neoklis Abdallas is expected to be a major, major piece. Isaiah Pasha, who transferred from Delaware, is expected to be a major, major piece. And Amani Hansberry, who followed Chester Frazier, the top assistant for Mike Young, who went from Illinois to West Virginia, now to Virginia Tech, is going to be in a situation where he is in a scenario where he is going to expect it to be an all-conference caliber player. Hansberry, Abdallas, Pasha, pretty good trio there from Mike Young. Stanford is 15. A ruptured roster when you think about Maxime Reynaud leaving and then Isaiah Sellers going to St. John's. Kyle Smith, who has always done a very good job in hard situations, is going to have to be a little bit of a magician this year. He's taken several non-Division I transfers, but he also brings back a couple of players who have experience, Chisholm Akpara, Donovan Young, Ryan Agarwal. But this is a heavy lift for Kyle Smith and Stanford. At 16, I have Cal, ironically enough, in the ACC preseason power ranking. Still feels weird to say that. Cal lost a number of players from last year's team that produced at a high level. Jeremiah Wilkinson went to Georgia, and the big one was Andrei Stojakovic going to Illinois. This is a rebuild on 1 year if you're Mark Madsen. You added Day-Day Ames and Chris Bell out of the transfer portal from Virginia and Syracuse, respectively, but it's hard to see Cal right now challenging for a spot in the top 2/3 of the ACC. BC's at 17 and 18. We have Florida State in year one under Luke Laux. Who do I have now on my All-ACC Preseason First Team? Cam Boozer from Duke, the 5-star freshman. Darian Williams from NC State, transfer from Texas Tech. Ryan Conwell at Louisville by way of Xavier. Seth Trimble from North Carolina. And Marcus Burton put up big numbers last year in a losing situation from Notre Dame. Now, the ACC preseason player of the year for me is Darian Williams. Now, people can say, well, how are you going to say that? He hasn't played yet at NC State. Cam Boozer hasn't played yet for Duke. I am going by what I've seen on the college level at the grandest stages. And if you're looking right now at the players on this All-ACC preseason first team, Cam Boozer is a phenomenal talent. I love him as a face-up big. He has yet to play in college basketball. Ryan Conwell has put up big numbers at Xavier, but he has not played to the level of Darian Williams. And Darian Williams is somebody who has played beyond, obviously, where Marcus Burton's been, and played last season beyond where Seth Trimble's been. Darian Williams was on a team in Texas Tech last year that was inches away from reaching the Final Four. And he's no longer playing alongside a guy like JT Toppin. He is going to be a focal point for NC State. He can be a point forward. He can be somebody that Will Wade can run offense with out of the elbow in a horn set. He can be somebody who can facilitate for others. And he can be somebody, as we saw in the NCAA tournament, who regularly fills up the box score, scoring, rebounding, and also passing. And these are all reasons why Darian Williams is my ACC preseason player of the year. Now, who is my preseason sleeper in the ACC? I'm going with the Virginia Cavaliers under Ryan Odom. There aren't necessarily, I think, any of these additions that wow you when you look at Virginia and how this roster has been constructed. But it feels like Ryan Odom and his staff hit singles and doubles all throughout portal season. Dallin Hall from BYU played on an NCAA tournament team. Malik Thomas, San Francisco. Sam Lewis from Toledo. Guys who are going to be able to fill the roles the way that Ryan Odom wants. And again, I take it all with a grain of salt. But I have heard from several people I trust to evaluate European prospects that Testa Ritter is going to be a major, major import at the college level. And I also believe in a coach. When a coach has shown you multiple times that he can win and win at a high level, you are going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And he's won games at one of those places, UMBC. He's won a game at one of these places, UMBC, which was the biggest upset until FDU beat Purdue in the history of the NCAA tournament. But he's gotten to the bracket at UMBC. He's gotten the bracket at Utah State, where in 2023 he lost to Missouri, really competitive game. And he got to the bracket of ECU, where he had a competitive game in March against BYU. The NCAA tournament game that he did win, though, during those three stops, a 16-1 for the first time ever. What do you think about my ACC preseason power rankings and my ACC preseason awards? Your thoughts when in return. Jon Rothstein here on an ACC offseason breakdown on Inside College Basketball Now.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount+.
All right, Jon Rothstein back here on Inside College Basketball Now on our ACC offseason breakdown. Our first question goes from at Louisville Go Cards. John, Duke or Louisville? Look, I am giving Duke the benefit of the doubt because it's Duke, because they have Cam Boozer, because I'm really impressed with Sean Shire. I would not be shocked if we wake up in March and Louisville wins an ACC regular season title. Would not be shocked at all. One of one wants to know, John, who are the best freshmen in the ACC? Well, obviously, you start with Cam Boozer. You have to look at Michael Brown. You have to look at Caleb Wilson at North Carolina. Those guys are going to be, obviously, the ones you want to look at first. Shelton Henderson, another player who, obviously, you want to put on your radar from Miami, who was initially committed to play for Duke, but wound up, going with Jay Lucas to Miami, is going to be really, really good. And I think another name you want to put on your radar, Matthew Abel from NC State, who should have a big role as a freshman under Will Wade. John, what Louisville guard is most likely to come off the bench? This is from one of one. Good question. I mean, Michael Brown, you would think, obviously, you would start. Michael Brown's a big-time athlete. And then I would expect Ryan Conwell and Isaac McNeely to start just because they have power conference experience, and Adrian Woolley to play a big-time role along with Kobe Rogers. Louisville's shooting and the ability to put spacing on the floor is going to be out of this world in 25-26. We'll put a bow on this thing when we return. Jon Rothstein here on Inside College Basketball Now. All right, Jon Rothstein back here on Inside College Basketball Now with three good ACC nuggets. Nugget number one, shooters won the war. I'll say it again, Louisville's three perimeter transfers additions. Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, Adrian Woolley, who committed this past spring, combined to make 273 threes in 24-25. Nugget number two, Evans' stock is escalating. Isaiah Evans last year averaged 12 points per game in 7 games where he logged 20 minutes or more. This guy should be on every breakout list in America. And nugget number three, thirsty for orange. Syracuse has not played in the NCAA Tournament since 2021. Adrian Autry did a really good job in his first year at Syracuse. Wasn't close to the NCAA Tournament, but did a good job on 20-ish type games. Didn't have a great year last year. A big season for Syracuse. A Syracuse team, I think, that will be in play to have 3 All-ACC caliber players. Nate George, transferred from Georgia Tech, J.J. Starling, and Donnie Freeman, who put up numbers last year before going out with an injury. Only played 20 games. We'll be back later this week with an ACC-centric episode. I'm Jon Rothstein, reminding you that this is Inside College Basketball Now on the CBS Sports Podcast Network.